afternoon, everyone. I know it's a bit difficult. We are already running late by 20 minutes. And it's quite difficult to stand in between the audience and a delicious lunch. So please bear with us for some time. So I'll give a little bit context. Many of us know that India is the fourth largest energy consumer in the world. So China tops the rank, followed by USA, Russia, and then comes India. Interestingly, 63 or about 60% of energy is being produced in China and India from coal, whereas USA and Russia, they are depending for generation of their energy mostly on biogas and natural gases. According to, and again, when you look at the other side of the story, India is again the third largest producer of carbon dioxide. So in the efforts of the international community, China and India are top of the list. If you wanted to protect this globe, if you wanted to, protect ourselves from the, fast coming climate changes, the international community has focused to start work with countries like China and India. According to one statistics, 30 years from now, the world is going to consume double the energy that it does today, right? And therefore, since the climate changes are coming very fast, we need to work on, producing clean energy. As Mr. Williamson has pointed out, that's the only way to make this humanity survive in the long run. And if you look at the energy sector, for any energy innovation to be made available in a large scale for general utilization, it takes 15 to 20 years. You take any example, you would have to wait for 15 to 20 years before it becomes, largely available for everyone to use, which means the rate of innovation should be, double or triple what we currently have. And this is only possible when governments are investing money in R&D and or else high risking. We have heard a gentleman talking about graphene, batteries and those kind of things. They're all high risk investments. So unless governments are investing money in R&D, unless government or private high risking parties are coming, we would not be able to achieve reduction of emissions by 30% by 2020 or 50% by 2050. So like you, every individual have that kind of an awareness and constantly think about ways and means to reduce the carbon footprint. And I have no doubt that our future generations will have a better life on this globe. And it was very interesting to know that a country like Morocco has set a self-imposed targets of 42% mix by 2020 and 52% mix by 2050. And for your information, even India has imposed a self-target of 175 gigawatts by solar power by 2022. I'll give you a little bit context again here. If you look at, we all have got mobile phones. If you don't like your operator, you can simply send an SMS with your 10-digit code to 1900. You get a unique porting code, and you can go to any other mobile network provider website, and you can immediately change from one provider to another provider. As a consumer, my point is you got a lot of power to be able to choose your mobile network provider. And this is exactly electricity would work in many of the countries, including a country like UK as well. So I represent Energy Tech Global, which is a technology company. We build open source, we build global enterprise software solutions for electricity retailers around the world. So using the software that we have built, people in New Zealand, retailers in New Zealand, retailers in Australia. Currently, we are doing a pilot in UK, a pilot in Singapore. We have actually been funded by a hedge fund company based out of London, sir. So ours is a global, global group which is operating in many countries. So what I'm trying to say is, as a consumer, you would be able to choose your electricity provider. But here, there is no distinction between your distribution company and the retailer. We haven't even heard the word electricity retailer. We always think about the distribution company, which is Telangana State Southern Power Distribution Company or Northern Power Distribution Company. The way it works in all other foreign countries, many of the Commonwealth countries, countries like US, Canada and all these, the government would maintain the high voltage transmission lines. government has divided the entire country into different distribution regions, and as you mentioned, it could be a private-public partnership, it could be owned by the local, district or county, or it could be completely owned by a private party as well. Someone sitting in Hong Kong might be owning the distribution network of, say, Melbourne City. So that is how things would be, but there will be a stringent regulatory bodies. So government owns the high voltage transmission lines, private parties or PPP model or someone would own the distribution network. There will be a couple of smart metering companies which would be serving, providing the meters around the world. And now what we can do is, anyone can enter into a retailer and they would be using the same infrastructure and they would be competing for the same customer. And just like how mobile network would work, that is how exactly the electricity retailing would work. You, as a consumer, you will have the power to choose which retailer you want. There will be different packages, different prices. You know how things would work once a private party would enter into these kind of field, and the complete landscape would change. So I just would like to ask, sir, starting with you, do you think that because even our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi's slogan and our Chief Minister KCR's slogan is maximum governance, minimum government. Okay, so do you think that government stepping away from distribution or directly tied up with the end consumer, is it a good thing for them to start moving towards privatization? And has it given good results in a country like UK?